All right, well, we'll go ahead and get started. Super excited you guys took some time this morning to come in here and just get a little more information as your kids are starting to move up into middle school. And I might leave that open just in case anybody happens to straggle in, but this hallway isn't used too much. But just wanted to start off by introducing myself. My name is Nick Poole. I am originally from Atlanta. I met my wife in Texas. I was serving there for about 15 years. And so we decided, I guess, a couple of years ago to look and think about start moving back this way towards my family. And Tim gave me a call looking for a middle school pastor and, thinking about that. So we kind of got some things worked out and super excited to be here. And so as of next weekend, I believe it is, it'll be 2 years that I've been here. So it's been seems like it's flown by, but it's been really, really exciting, and really a lot of cool things are happening. I mean, right now you're sitting where once was that corner aisle of seats for the old auditorium. So it's just kind of, it's crazy what they have been able to do with this space and how much we're growing as a church. And there's just a lot of really cool things happening, particularly even in student ministry. Yesterday, we had a training for our middle schoolers that are going with us to Georgia on a missions trip. And so the church that we're partnering with down there, the pastor, he's a good buddy of mine. He came up and he helped do some leadership training and missions training and just get them thinking about some things. And so we're just trying to really think through a lot of that stuff and really think, okay, how can we better equip even our middle schoolers to be thinking about their faith, establishing their own faith as they're kind of growing into it, and really beginning to serve on their own. And so the cool thing about Alive is it's really the first time outside of maybe your family life groups that they're being introduced into like their own life group. And so we'll get into a little bit of that in just a little bit. But if you'd like, I don't know if the glare is too bad on the TV if you can see it, but my phone number is up there, and then my email address if you want to jot that down. Feel free to give me a call or text or anytime, or email me. And if you have any questions, or if there's anything, maybe you have a question about an event, or if there's something going on with a kiddo and you want to, talk through some things, happy to talk with you guys or meet about anything. And so, a lot of times it's just easier just to send a text. It just, sometimes email just isn't quite as effective, just you miss it. But I'm usually pretty on top of my email. If email is a primary way that you communicate, that's great for me. But I know for parents, a lot of times it's just quicker and easier for a text. So, but yeah. Any questions about myself or anything else in that regard? So, a couple things I wanted to go over. First thing is that I want to talk to you about is why student ministry. Because really, from a church philosophy standpoint, once our kids get through kid stuff, like that's kind of the time where they really start coming into the large group church space, worshiping together with you in church, and really growing into that role. And so student ministry is really supplemental to that, where in kids ministry and Treehouse, it's really more their primary exclusive thing, right? And so why student ministry? Well, there's several different things that we find super valuable. But one of the biggest things that we see, and I've experienced a ton, my wife who serves in student ministry as well, will have a student whose parent has been like harping on something or telling them about, man, this is something that's important, or this is something that you need to do, or you need to stop doing this, or whatever it is. And then they'll come home and they'll be like, hey, I got this new idea. And you're like, I literally have been telling you that this whole time. But there's something different about someone else speaking into your kids' lives. And so there's a lot of really great research. If you're not familiar with Barna, they do all kinds of really good research, particularly as it pertains to church ministry, and they have a lot of great stuff even on student ministry. But one of the big important factors for them is that as adolescents are growing into their own, having someone, even besides not just parent, but even youth pastor, that is speaking into their life. And so we have at least 60 volunteers that are here every Sunday night, and we have probably closer to 80 who are actually on our rotation that are here every week pouring into students. And so they're really the backbone of our ministry. They're there to get to know your student. They're there to really learn kind of the ins and outs and really reflect and show Jesus to them. And so I can kind of get into the flow of Sunday nights in just a little bit, but their job really is to take what we teach on and what we talk about and really put feet to it. And when they have a good solid investment in these kids, once they get into like their sophomore, junior, senior year, there's really a connection there that is unlike any other. And so that is one of our key things, is just having someone else to speak into your students' lives. And we also really strive to get them involved in church. And you've probably seen this as your kids have come up in kids ministry. A lot of our Alive students are serving in Treehouse, or they're serving in kids stuff in different capacities. And so that's really something that's important for us, that they don't just come and sit and play and do these different things in student ministry, but they're actually taking ownership of the church and really becoming involved and important. And so that's something that we value and something that we really push. And even within our student ministry, we have places for them to serve. And so another big valuable point is for just to get them a point to where they're being encouraged and shown and modeled on how to serve. The biggest thing is in the measure of salvation. Barna's research showed that 88% of all believers, professing believers, say that they gave their life to Christ somewhere in that middle school to high school time frame, which is just, that's such a pivotal point in life when you really start to understand your own, start to make your faith your own. But even out of that 88%, 61% of those said that decision was made between 10 and 14 years old. So even a little bit earlier than middle school, but for sure in those middle school years. So even as they're coming out of kids stuff, like super important to get them involved and connected with student ministry or somebody who's speaking that biblical truth into their life. Like I said before, that's even beside parent and even youth pastor. And so this is a question that Tim and I have talked about a lot, and Tim has even had different conversations with parents about, is should I force my kid to come to youth? And I think it depends on the age of the student, but especially in middle school, I would say bring them. Tell them to come, tell them to get involved. They're at the age where they're kind of testing boundaries and stuff too, but we say make them come, be a part. Tim tells a story about how he was forced to come his entire life, and he, I think kind of battled against that for a while, but ultimately the roots and the investment that was poured into his life paid off. And we can't control what's going to happen with your student, and you have different ways from family unit to family unit on how you make decisions and parent and guide your students. And you can feel like you do an incredible job with one kid and they turn out one way, and you feel like you replicate that and it turns out a completely different way with another kid. And so it's, what we're really striving for is not to create a formula that says, well, if you do this, and this, then your kid will turn out to be, John Piper or something like that. We're saying, hey, this is what we value. This is what we think is important. And if your kiddo is here, if your student is here, then they'll at least be saturated with the gospel, both in what we teach and what we live out and show. And so, super important to me as I grew up in student ministry, just the influence in my life. And so we have testimony after testimony of students, just how it's so life changing. And so, just a really impactful thing. So what are some next steps? So some upcoming dates that I just wanted to share with you. These are just something more recent. Is June, it's not June 1st this year, it's May 31st, is Promotion Sunday. So that'll be the day that your student goes from Treehouse up to middle school ministry. And from that day, we'll be here. But after Promotion Sunday, during the summer, we do what's called Travel Alive. And this was kind of a solution to a couple of different things that we've had going on in the church with worldview and those things previously, but we found a lot of value in this, and so we are continuing to do it. And what we do is we pick 4 or 5 different places in the community to go. I think that the first Sunday we're going over to a family's house just to hang out and swim. But this summertime is really a huge opportunity for our leaders just to get connected with students on a relational level and just say, hey, in a fun element, and whether it's swimming or bowling or skating or whatever it is, they get to hang out, get to know each other a little bit more, so that when we come back in August, we can hit the ground running with some relational equity. And so that's what Travel Alive is about. Those are the dates. And I'll have a QR code on another slide that'll have a bunch of different links. One of those links will give you up-to-date details on what we're doing from week to week on each of those events. Yeah.
Okay, so if I'm getting ahead of you or anything, let me know.
Yeah.
But Alive is in the evenings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so when we transition that Sunday,
Mm-hmm.
do they just come that evening? I guess is what that
Yes,
is. Okay,
ma'am.
so they don't come that morning.
Right. So
Okay.
there won't be anything Alive oriented on Sunday mornings.
Okay.
So everything we do is Sunday evenings.
Okay, but they
on a
won't go to
weekly-
Treehouse that Sunday morning.
Mhm.
Okay, and
Yep.
then do we have Alive in the summer?
So that's what the Travel
Alive
Alive is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so instead of being here at the church.
Right,
it'll go-
instead of being
okay.
here at the church, it'll be the same time, around that 5 to 7 on Sunday evenings.
Okay.
But like I said, we may be at roller sports, or we may be at the bowling alley.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah, okay,
so
thank you.
absolutely. And then in August is our big kickoff for the year. It's an event we call Deeper Weekend. Previously, we spent the night here in the church. We've started to move to having host homes, which gives us a little bit of flexibility in comfort and sleeping arrangements, but also it allows us, I think this year we're actually going to be coming into the second service rather than the first service, which one of the obstacles and struggles that I've noticed is that they're zonked after a long Saturday, and then sleeping over in an unfamiliar place, waking up, trying to have breakfast at like 7 to go to church, and it just was a bad situation. I was like, if there was a way we could get them a little more sleep, come into second service, I think we'll have a little better impact. So we're going to try that out this year. But Deeper Weekend is just a big kickoff to our school year. It's the first introduction to life groups. They get to meet their life group leader. I say leader, it's leaders, usually about 4 or 5 for each grade and gender. And that'll be August 8th and 9th. 8th is the main day on Saturday. And it'll start at noon, and then they'll stay with us all the way through Sunday morning. And then you'll pick them up after that second service. And then our summer activity that is still open for registration is camp at Team Valley Ranch in North Carolina. We have an opportunity for students to go to Woodlands for middle school, which is in early June, but that is long past registration. Team Valley is a camp that I worked at years and years ago. Good friends of mine there. Also a lot more flexible in registration. I can call Josh tomorrow and be like, hey, I need a few more beds. And he's like, no problem, I got you. So with that, it helps with some of our registration. It's a little bit more affordable than Woodlands. Woodlands is a fantastic camp. They do some really incredible things, but there's just a little more restrictions with registration on that. So if your kid hasn't signed up for camp and would like to go to camp, summer camp is super, super impactful. And especially for us as leaders, if you think about an hour, maybe an hour and a half on Sunday nights over the course of, if we're being generous, 40 weeks out of the year, probably closer to 30 to 35 weeks. So we're looking at less than 50 hours a week, where an entire week of summer camp, I can get 70 plus hours with a student in a matter of 5 or 6 days. And so the relational build that's there, the environment of just being saturated by the Spirit and what the Lord's doing in that area, a focused time each day to be spending in the Word, hearing from a speaker. There's just a lot of impact that can happen summer camp. And if you've been to a summer camp before, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, man, it can really be incredibly life-changing. And so that's one thing that's super important to me, and I value a ton. So if your kid isn't registered for summer camp, that's an opportunity there, and to get them registered.
Where would we go to do that?
Any registration that we do through our student ministry, and really through the church at all, will be through the Church Center app. And on that, you should be able to
download an app.
You can go online.
Church Center app.
So there is a Church Center app. There is also, you can just go to the church website and it'll automatically shoot you over to that. But if you go to our church website, there'll be events and registration. We also have, and I'll talk about this in a little bit, but we have a student ministry website that is alivestudentministry.com. On there, there's a couple of helpful tabs.
Say the website one more time.
It's alivestudentministry.com. And I would point out 2 key tabs on that website. This is a helpful website both for parents and for students. So there's kind of a mixture on the website, but the parent tab, that's going to have a lot of helpful information for you. And the events tab is going to have all of the information in terms of what's going on throughout the year. And then registration links and stuff will be on that as well. So that's another spot you can find. If you go to the events tab, I believe it's either summer camp or it may be specifically Teen Valley Ranch that will have a sub tab to it. Let's see here. I think, there we go. Pop this up right here real quick. So on the events tab, yeah, there's a Teen Valley Ranch link there. You can click on it, and down here there should be a registration link. And if you click on that, that'll send you over to Church Center. It should look like this. Any of our Church Center registrations, whether it's something for a live or a lead class or anything with the church, it'll bring you to a page that looks like this. And you'll click on register, and then you'll be able to fill out all the information. You can pay through that as well. If you prefer to pay with check or cash, we also have a way to accept that as well. So that's kind of what that looks like. Any other questions about those kind of things? Great. Well, to kind of build on that a little bit, other key events throughout our student ministry, aside from Deeper Weekend, we have a winter retreat in February where we go to Awanata, which is about 30 minutes from here. It's a really great place, and that's something that we build together on our own. In other words, we bring in a couple of speakers for middle school and high school, but then we also kind of structure and build the retreat ourselves in-house, bringing in our worship team, doing games and stuff. But aside from summer camp, one of our most impactful events, and probably my favorite event, is winter retreat. You Now is another really awesome event. This is something a little bit different where we partner with 3 or 4 different churches in the area, and we put on a worship night. And next year we'll be here at North Hills. And I think 2 years ago we had about 650 students from all over Greenville, different youth groups. This year I can't remember how many. I don't know if we've got Natalia, and it was just a couple weeks ago. But we had several different churches that'll come together, not just as the core planning churches, but aside from that, we reach out to other churches and say, hey, come and join us. And what's super awesome about that is we have students from all these different schools, all these different co-ops, and maybe they know each other, maybe they don't, but then they come together and they're worshiping together under the same roof, and then starting to see like, oh, you also go to Wade Hampton, or oh, you're also part of UHC, or, and then making those connections, which is super, super awesome. And that happens in, I think next year it's going to be April 11th, but usually in that late March, early April time frame. I mentioned before our middle school missions trip we do during the summer, which huge opportunity for your students to come and serve. And then of course, summer camps. So yeah. And then this kind of goes back to some of the communications that we talked about before in terms of the website. Website's got a lot of great information, but as far as our communication to you, there are 3 main ways that we communicate. First, we send out a weekly email to parents saying, this is what's happening this week, this is what's coming up. Maybe there's some key dates that are coming, and we'll make sure that you know about that in your email. So if you want to stay in the know and you want to know, hey, what's happening next, what's coming up, what do I need to know because my kid didn't come home and tell me about it, and then last second, they're like, oh, registration for this is closing today and I want to sign up, and you're like, great, thanks for telling me. And then
That never happens.
no, it happened twice yesterday. I got 2 phone calls like, hey, is it too late to sign up for the missions trip? I said, bring them. But yes, that email, I will admit, that email can become lengthy just because we've got high school ministry and middle school ministry, all these things come out. One of the things that I've been trying to help structure with that to serve you is to put at the top some kind of almost like a menu or a bullet point. So you can scroll through and be like, don't care. Oh yes, I need to know about that. Zoop, and go down and look at it. So, because I know long emails all the time can be overwhelming and you're just like not reading it. But I would encourage you, please check your email, do your best to be informed in that aspect, because that's going to be probably the most thorough in terms of communication and email and details. Secondly, we send out group texts. We have group texts to all of our parents. And if there's something that we're like a little more urgent on, then we'll shoot out a group text. Like last week, Yabby sent out a group text and said, hey, parents, if your kids want to go on the middle school missions trip, registration is closing on Friday. Make sure you get them signed up, just because, like I said before, text sometimes can be a little more effective, especially on a quicker response time. So you can sign up for our group texts.
Is it like a group text, like text, or like app?
It's a text. So you'll get almost like when you sign up for like 7-Eleven, which if you haven't signed up for 7-Eleven, you need to, because they send out some pretty awesome deals. We got 45.
Sorry about the gas station?
Yeah. Mary Beth got 80 some cents off the other day off of her gas, just from text deals. But you get those text deals and it'll show up with like a 5-digit number,
Right.
and then whatever, it'll look the exact same, but it'll be from us. And so on this QR code, if you click that, there's several different links. One of those links is to sign up for email communication and mass text. So great way to stay informed. Lastly, Facebook. We have a Facebook parent group, and we'll also post a lot of stuff there. And so you can go onto Facebook. It's the Facebook Alive parent page is what it's called. You can request to join that. And then on there, we'll have a lot of times even just like pictures and stuff from different events, but also just reinforcing that same communication of things that's coming up. So email, mass text, social media. Also Instagram, we have just our Alive. We don't have like a specific parent Instagram, but we have an Alive Instagram where we'll post stuff that's pertinent information both for students and for parents. Any questions about communication? Sweet. I know communication can be the hardest thing, so we try to make sure everybody knows and is connected. And like I said before, you have my phone number now. Ever have any questions, please call or text me. Sunday night flow. So this might help answer some of your previous questions. But Sunday nights, we're in this space here. So high school typically will meet in this room. Middle school will meet in the community room. From 5 to 5:30, we have a time frame called Dollar Dinner. Kids come in, they play 9 Square, there's ping pong, arcades, all kinds of stuff up on the mezzanine. They'll be hanging out with all of their friends. And in our kitchen area here, we have a snack shop, and we have tons of unhealthy things. We also serve pizza, chips, drinks, Gatorades, all kinds of stuff. And everything's $1, makes it easy. So they can come, bring some cash, buy whatever they'd like if they want to. Now that we've moved into this space, we've been encouraged to go a little more electronic, very similar to the cafe out here. So if this may not apply to your students now, but as they are getting older, if they get a card or something like that, then they can also pay electronically with a credit or debit card, and even tap to pay is an option as well. So we try to provide that because it's kind of in that dinner time frame, but also kids are always hungry. And it's a good relational connection as well. So Dollar Dinner is from 5 to 5:30. And then from 5:30 to 7, we do worship, teaching, and small groups. And so usually what that looks like is for middle school, I'll get up and I'll teach on whatever particular topic. And we'll have worship that kind of precedes that. And then we'll wrap up, and they'll go into life groups, and then they'll just break down whatever we just talked about in large group. And so the goal there is to take what they didn't hear when I was teaching and really put feet to it and really say, okay, hey, what are your questions? What do you think about this? How does this make you feel? How does this maybe challenge you at home? And really kind of dig through that. And as our life group leaders, like I said, at Deeper Weekend, that's the first time they really meet their life group leaders. One of the things that we ask them to do is to come in at 7th grade. And so for a lot of them, for your students, this will be one of the first times they serve. We do have some that cycle back down, but they will stay with those 7th graders all the way through graduation. And so they really have that opportunity to build relationships with them over the next 6 years. And it's just a really, really impactful time for them to build that connection. And so then when, hard things happen, they're able to step in and say, hey, I'm here for you, or I know this, or speak truth into them when they're acting the fool, And so it's an incredible model that we have been a part of pre-North Hills, and I was super glad that it was something that Tim already had implemented here at North Hills in terms of having our life group leaders travel with our students. Super impactful. So they'll usually wrap up with life group around 7 or so, especially middle school. They usually tend to go a little bit quicker than our high schoolers. But we'll hang out maybe a little bit longer, and then usually by 7:15 or so, everybody's out of the building, and we're kind of shutting things down and getting out of here. And so that's a typical Sunday night. If we happen to have an activity or an event that is not here, it usually almost always is still going to be within that Sunday night 5 to 7 time frame. So that applies to Travel Alive, that applies to even YouNow, a little bit larger of a window for YouNow. I think it's more like a 5 to 8, but we still try to say, hey, you can count on Sunday evenings at 5 to 7 p.m. That's the time that we're doing stuff. And so that's kind of our window of time for our ministry, and that is where the heart and soul of all of the Alive Student Ministry exists, is Sunday nights, 5 to 7 p.m. And so that's something we have been able to shift to. Previously, we had middle school during one time, high school in a different time, and now that we have both of these spaces, it just makes it easier. So
Is it appropriate to bring friends?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we encourage students to bring their friends, you know, invite them from school. I mean, this is something we want to teach truth in terms of challenging and growing their faith, but also from an outreach and an evangelical standpoint too, like sharing the gospel and letting them know, like, hey, because I mean, even within our regular student body, not everybody is necessarily saved, and so we're definitely coming from an evangelistic standpoint as well, and love to have friends be invited for that reason. Or maybe you have some of your kids might have friends that are believers, but you know, maybe not connected on a church. And another aspect that's really cool, because we meet on Sunday nights, a lot of student ministries meet on Wednesday nights. And we do have a good crew that visits from another church, comes here on Sunday nights. And then likewise, we'll have a group of our kids that go to other churches on Wednesday nights, and they kind of come back and forth. So yeah, absolutely. Invite your friends, bring them. And for you as parents, just so you know, child safety, just had child safety training in there. Super, super important for us. Something that we not only highly covet, but we are very, very, very thorough in. So when your kids come, they'll enter in through these doors right here in front of the B Chapel. And we'll have a section roped off that you are allowed to come into and check your kid in if you'd like, talk and meet with anybody. But outside of that little, I guess, foyer space, we don't allow anybody to go unless they've been child safety trained, and generally they are on our team. So we know who they are, we know they've been trained, we know that we can trust these people with your kids. And so that applies for you too. If you're not on our team, and especially if you're not child safety trained, we kind of contain that to there. You do have 2 opportunities to visit. If you want to just like come and check things out, you can come twice before you have to get child safety trained, and we'll put like just a green bracelet on saying, hey, this person is just visiting, they're here, and that way our security team, our leadership team, they can see that and identify that and just be aware of the surroundings. And so in order to get into this space or this space over here, you would have to do that. And you're only allowed to do that twice at all, ever, in the history of period. So, but yeah, so child safety obviously is a big deal for us. We want to make sure that our kids are safe. And so this space has been a little tricky for us to figure out. You know, before we're upstairs, we can close both stairwells and we're locked in. Down here, we got a lot more vulnerabilities, and so we're really been super passionate and strategic about making sure our kids are safe in that realm. And so, yes.
For that child safety training, is that one and done, or is that, how often does it have to be renewed?
So that's something that right now it is a one and done, but it is something, and Tim can speak into this, that we are looking at doing a renewal to, because there's several people that have been serving with our kids for years and years, and they went through child safety. And you know, we have an online class, we have an in-person thing, lots of thorough training and checks. But it's like, hey, you did it, you're child safety trained, you're on the list. But we're starting to think about, as a church, we need to keep our people refreshed on potential dangers, on just awareness, and so that's something that is coming down the pipeline, correct?
Yeah, as far as training, like that's always integrated throughout a school year. I think what Nick is talking about is redoing a background check more consistent. I think we're gonna shift it to 2 years instead of our regular, I think it was 5 or 7.
Mm-hmm.
It was too long. So as far as keeping it in front of them, reminding them, training, that's consistent. But it's like, I came on board at North Hills in 2010. I'm sure they ran a background check. I'm curious when's the last time they've run a background check on me. And I've been here 15 years.
Yeah.
So I think we're just thinking through wisdom on how often we should do that.
Yep.
Do you guys check in with the students? Like, I'm not sure how to phrase this question, but almost like do you feel safe here? Has anything happened? You know, and then do you check in with your volunteers if there's?
So we do training with the kiddos once every semester.
Oh, okay.
And then we do different training based off of the summer. So we do something called Student Leadership University,
Mhm.
where we take kids down to Orlando and up to Washington DC. Well, we're in hotels. That is just such a horse of a different color than what we don't have hotels here.
Right.
So there's some training that comes to the kids there. But as far as the August and January training, we remind them what we can and can't do, but there is definitely language of this is a safe place. If someone has told you to keep something to yourselves, that's a lie from the pit of hell. We want to know, that language is definitely
Okay.
there at least 2 times a school year, as far as, because I'll give you a great example. There's a girl that lives up the street from me that's in this youth group. And she was jogging in the neighborhood. Did I share this with you? Yeah. She stopped at my house. I opened the door and she goes, I know Miss Rachel's not home and you're by yourself, and I know we can't be one-on-one together, but can I have a Gatorade? And I went, man, she knows it. Like, she knows what I can and cannot do. But if I went, Lydia, honey, come on inside, she'd go, huh? That's opposite from what we heard. So we're trying to, and I love making child safety quote unquote boundary, because kids always want to ride home and I don't want to give it. And I'm like, sorry, it's child safety, I can't be one-on-one. And I'm like, sweet, I got out of a 30-minute drive. So they know what we can and can't do.
Okay.
Sorry, Nick.
Well,
That's great.
while we're derailed, the whole, there's 2 parts of safety you see. It's the adults or predators coming in, but then and we've talked about this before, just the conflict of one teenager like speaking into another teenager in a hostile way, where it's like, in fact, the church we're just coming from, Silas is experiencing that in a way that I had to go to the dad and go, hey man, this is the kind of stuff that's being said.
Yeah. So
How does that work?
yeah, we actually just had a situation like that where it was a junior, were they junior boys or sophomore boys? I can't remember, but it was a friendly shove that led to some words, that led to a wrestling match, that led to a broken pool table up on the mezzanine. So we checked the cameras, but how we operate is, I think it was 3 days later, I had mom and dad, kids, life group leaders, me in a room. I'm a firm believer on, if you want to get something done right, get everyone in the room.
Yeah.
Because it's no he said, she said, it's not that truth, and then I'm the pigeon, coming over here. I got everyone in the room, and I got the primary disciple makers to say, this is gonna stop, or you can't come back. I mean, that's just kind of our rule. You can come back, but you have to have a babysitter, and that's mom and dad. So when Judah joins next year, and Judah's being a knucklehead, and he's been told this is not how we operate, and he comes back and operates that way, Judah cannot come back unless mommy sits with him the whole time. And we're really clear on that, and we're unapologetic with it. We want Alive to be a place where kids are safe. Now, are kids gonna be dorks and say stupid things? Sure, but if one kid is going after another in a vicious way, we're very swift. Very swift with that.
Love it.
Yeah. Any other questions? Well, I have this QR code up here again. If you want to scan that, again, that'll give you what's called a link tree, and that has literally all of our links from our social media, registration for any kind of parent communication, all that kind of stuff that we talked about before. And like I said before, please contact me and let me know. One thing that I did want to mention, and we talked about this some in a family huddle 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. We had a middle school specific family huddle, and one of the expectations that we have, Tim and I, is that you as parents are the primary disciple maker of the home. And for a lot of parents, even who are believers, that can be a new thought. Like, to really think about being intentionally discipling your kid and what that looks like. And so we talk about that in our family huddle. We really try to provide resources. So on that parent tab of the website, there's a lot of different resources. But then also, if you have questions, you're like, man, my kid's hearing this kind of conversation at school, or they're struggling with this. Like, I don't know what to say about blank, blank, or blank. let us know. And I probably don't have an answer for you, but I do have a lot of resources of people that I can get answers from and provide you with some resources and get you connected with something that will be helpful as you kind of guide and parent your kids. So, yeah.
I got a question. So if she's in the middle school program,
Mm-hmm.
and parents don't want to help her,
Yeah.
so are there areas that we can help but not be seen in that sense?
Sure. So you can always come and be a life group leader with us. Or there are a
You
couple
should
of
say
other.
that. We could put you in our high school ministry.
Yeah.
You can't hover when you're discipling junior boys.
Yeah.
They're fighting with the pool
Yeah.
table.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but there are.
But in that sense, it would be separate. In other words, I
Mm.
don't want to. What we did with other kids, I was the youth leader back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
Come on,
and it was like,
jump back in, brother.
it was like, I think my kids were okay with it, but at the end, they were kind of like,
Yeah.
it would have been cool.
Well, and I would say, even for parents that get involved, we really encourage them not to be in the same grade as their kid. And especially if it's mom and daughter, being in the same life group, that there's a rare scenario where that actually happens and it happens well. Most of the time, we want there to be a safe space away from parent to be able to talk. And so even for you, like let's say you wanted to come and you wanted to be a life group leader, we would probably plug you in at least a different grade so that you're not exactly in the same connection point.
So this is just my soapbox. I love speaking into this. I've got a sixth grader and I have a third grader. And last week I went on a third grade field trip. And I'd rather get punched in the face. But I went because it had my third grader. And I wanted to make it the best field trip possible. So my thing with parents is, hey, come and fight with us. Because it's your kids.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean that we're desperate for help. In fact, we are in a position where we are not desperate for help. We're in a position where we can become very picky. So when you leave here, there's a leadership board on the wall with clipboards and faces. I think nursery and kid stuff is like, you'll help change diapers? Oh my gosh, it's like, and you shake hands, it's like, get in here. We are not like that. We're very picky because the strength of our student ministry is in our small group leaders. Your kids don't like the small group leaders, they're not coming back. It's just an uphill battle. So we've got to find winners. So I would encourage you to pray and talk to the Lord about being involved in some way, shape, or form. If you have a heart of a shepherd, we have roles. If you have the heart of a chaperone, we have roles. So we divide it up into chaperone and shepherd. Shepherds, you want them as life group leaders. You do not want a chaperone as a life group leader. But we've got crowd control where dads jump in. We've got first time guests. We have check-in, like dollar dinner. There's many areas that we need help because there's a lot of kids that come, and most of the dads that want to be involved that don't want to be a small group leader become crowd control.
Yeah.
But that's just me. It's like, hey man, come and pull on the rope with us. There's many parents that will come and send an email of a complaint, and instead of fixing the complaint, my first conversation is, hey, come and fight with us. You've got eyes and perspectives. Come on. So I don't know if that's helpful. And you guys are coming into middle school ministry at such a healthy time. Having Nick, moved his family from, I always say Dallas, it's not Dallas.
It's Brian, but it's all right.
Yeah, somewhere in Texas. For 14, 13 years, I was rocking middle school and high school. So to have someone who's also on our student ministry team that just has eyes for middle school, what a gift to our church. That's just huge. So we have chaperone roles and we have shepherd roles that you can look into.
Good. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Do you guys talk in at all about like AI, technology, Roblox? Like, is that anything that's part of?
Yeah, I mean, there are definitely times where, especially if there is something that happens in culture, like say something blows up last week, we'll shift and talk about relevant things that are happening. But even, talking about maybe general specific topics like that, during Deeper Weekend, we have different breakouts and we're thinking through, okay, what are some topics we think our students have questions about.
Mhm.
And so things like, I feel like we had one on AI last year. I can't
I
remember.
wrote my sermon for tonight, so I'm just kidding. Yes, I think we had a breakout session on the dangers of technology, because my kiddos are on Roblox as well.
Uh-huh.
And I think there's gonna be 3 things that'll be helpful for you as parents. Our weekly parent email will always have a resource, like always something we're learning.
Okay.
We will, like Spotify, you can now find porn on Spotify.
Mhm.
So another parent sent it to me and I was flabbergasted, so I made sure to put that in the weekly parent email. So you're gonna get resources thrown your way all the time. The parent meetings, the family huddles, I'm sure Nick, you've already said this, existed for 3 things. They exist to connect you with other parents, encourage you with outside voices, and inform you with what's going on in culture. Those are the low-hanging fruit moments that we get with parents and talk about certain apps that our kids have that maybe you're not aware of, that they can do X, Y, and Z. And then there is a Facebook page just for parents.
Mm.
And I feel like I'm putting a resource or an article or something just to
Okay.
educate mom and dad. I don't know if that's helpful or answers your question. As far as talking about Roblox with them in here or in middle school ministry, that's probably gonna happen more in life groups where it's more conversational, not necessarily from stage.
Did you mention family huddles?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, so we usually have one or two a semester.
Okay.
And we had one 2 weeks ago that was middle school specific. I think Tim's gonna have one more geared towards high school coming up in the next couple of weeks. And so, again, just an opportunity for us to give you some more information and maybe if there's a particular topic that happens to be standing out, to say, hey, this is something that's really helpful. In fact, if you want to go back, you can actually watch the family huddle from the 12th is on our YouTube page.
If you go to the parent tab on the website, every family huddle we've had since the beginning of family huddles
Yeah.
is on there. So
Yeah. Any other questions?
if you don't get the weekly parent email, you are not gonna know what's going on in this ministry. If it doesn't hit your inbox, just go to the parent tab and we copy and paste it. I was so sick of parents going, I didn't hit my inbox, it went to my spam. It's unacceptable. If you have not gotten a parent email by Friday, go to the parent tab, click on it, everything for that week and what's coming up is on there. We do have social media. That's a beast that's always wanting to get fed. I feel like I update it once or twice a day. I'm just constantly uploading that. But the parent tab on the website, but your weekly parent email is how you will know what is going on in this world. If you don't read that, we're gonna frustrate the tar out of you.
And the text, I couldn't find a place to sign up for the text on the QR.
If we're not on social media and we just go to the tab, we'll be good.
Good for you. I go back and forth on it.
That's it.
About the email. Oh, okay.
There you
it's
go.
under that.
Yeah, so if you text,
Okay, I see.
there you go.
Thank you.
Any other questions, concerns, comments? Great. Well, again, super thankful that you guys took some time to come in and just be informed. Being informed is just a huge part of making sure that your kids are successful in student ministry. Because like I said, they're probably not going to relay a ton of information to you. We do try to send out a flyer. It's really, I was going to say once a quarter, but it's really 3 times a year, one for the summer, one for the fall, one for the spring. That'll give you a calendar of events, our save the date. So we try to get those to you. If you don't get one, a copy of it is always on the website. But please reach out with any questions or any things that you have. So thank you guys for coming today. I'll pray for us really quick and then we can be dismissed. God, thank you for each and every parent that's in this room and for the kids that they represent, the students that are coming into our ministry. And even before they step foot into this space, God, I pray that you are working in their hearts and in their souls and showing them the light of your Son and the salvation that you've given us through the sacrifice of your Son on the cross. And so, God, we're so thankful for how you love us and how you use us and even how you give us opportunities to serve in this student ministry. And so if there are any parents or that would like to serve, God, I pray that you would challenge them and push them to take that step of faith and to reach out and serve. And so, God, I thank you for just what you are going to do in this student ministry. And before we know it, 6 years is going to fly by and these students are going to be graduating, and we'll be able to look back even to this day and see how much you have done in each and every life. And God, we are thanking you now for what you're going to do. And so, God, place your hand over this class, and I pray that you would do mighty and great things in each and every one of these students. For it's in your name we pray. Amen.